I
morning
know.
games for the Mondays.
All right,
Man,
next time we'll have a
electric
dance
slide
to go for
and all that.
everybody.
All right.
Well, a good Monday morning to you all. Sorry we don't have a dance for you today, but we do have some stories, including one starting with Congress, returning from the Thanksgiving break with some sexual misconduct allegations looming over Capitol Hill.
Yeah, Senator Al Franken says that he's going back to work today feeling embarrassed but determined to regain the public's trust, and he says that he can still be a champion for women. In the meantime, Michigan Congressman John Conyers is stepping away from his key role on the House Judiciary Committee as he faces harassment claims.
And in Alabama, Senate candidate Roy Moore just got another boost from the president. ABC's Kenneth Moten has all the details for us. Good morning, Kenneth.
Good morning, Diana and Candace. Yes, there's a lot happening here in Washington. Tax reform, a looming government shutdown, and yes, the battle over Alabama's Senate seat. All of it happening under a cloud of sexual misconduct allegations.
This morning, President Trump is back in Washington and focused on tax reform. But he didn't answer shouted questions about whether he plans to campaign for Roy Moore, the Alabama GOP Senate candidate accused of sexual misconduct with minors.
Well, he denies it. Look, he denies it. You're talking about, he said 40 years ago this did not happen. So, you know.
Trump tweeted support for Moore over the weekend and blasted his opponent, Democrat Doug Jones. The last thing we need in Alabama and the U.S. Senate is a Schumer-Pelosi puppet who is weak on crime, weak on the border. Jones would be a disaster.
It is pretty clear to me that the best thing that Roy Moore could do for the country is to move on.
More than 20 Republican senators are calling for Moore to quit the race. Capitol Hill is still reeling from sexual harassment allegations against prominent lawmakers. Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken, accused of improperly touching 4 women, broke his silence speaking to TV station WCCO.
I have a long way back. I have a long way back to win back the trust of the people of Minnesota. I've let people down.
An 88-year-old Michigan Representative John Conyers is denying allegations he sexually harassed women on his staff. But he stepped down as the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee amid an ethics investigation.
Conyers and Franken say they will not resign their seats. Trump, who still needs to pass tax reform and he needs the help of that crucial Alabama Senate seat, well, we'll head to Capitol Hill tomorrow to meet with Republican senators about their version of the bill. Diana, Candace.
Yeah, they're hoping to pass that tax reform bill by this week. Hannah, thank you.
President Trump is said to be questioning the authenticity of the infamous Access Hollywood tape that surfaced before the election.
On the 2005 recording, the president is heard bragging in vulgar detail about his ability to grope women because he's a star. Well, he acknowledged making the comments, dismissed the remarks as locker room talk, and then apologized. But now sources tell ABC News the president recently claimed to several advisors that the tape may be fake. There's been no evidence to support that claim. Well, the battle over who should lead a consumer watchdog agency created after the 2008 financial crisis is now actually heading to federal court. The official who was named as director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau by the man who vacated that position has now filed a lawsuit to block President Trump's pick from taking over the agency. The president wants Budget Director Mick Mulvaney, that you see there, to fill the interim post. Mulvaney is an outspoken critic of the Bureau, and Democrats say he wants to destroy it.
Breaking overnight in Southern California, an hours-long standoff has come to a violent end, and we want to warn you, some viewers may find this video disturbing. You can hear someone crying out, "My baby." Police used flashbang devices after a man barricaded himself in a car with his 7-month-old daughter in Covina. Authorities say he was holding his daughter hostage with a knife. Officers eventually ended up shooting the man after struggling to get the baby out of the car. He later died at the scene. The baby is now being evaluated at the hospital. And a 9th grader from Florida is behind bars in New York this morning as a person of interest in the death of a woman believed to be his grandmother. Police say 15-year-old Logan Mott drove his grandmother's car from Florida to the Canadian border, where he was arrested after both of them were reported missing. 53-year-old Christina French's home had been found ransacked, but the teen's former nanny says she doesn't believe he's capable of killing.
The boy I remember is not capable of anything so horrible. I grew to love him as if he was my own grandchild. Until they prove it beyond every shadow of a doubt, I will not believe that Logan had anything to do with this.
Authorities are waiting for results of an autopsy on a body found buried in a shallow grave before they confirm that it's French.
Okay, let's talk about Cyber Monday here. Experts are predicting this will be the biggest online shopping day in history, with consumers spending more than $6.5 billion, about 16% more than last year. Clothes and electronics are expected to be big movers. Walmart is heavily promoting headphones, and Amazon is pushing voice assistants like the...
A storm system will bring rain and heavy mountain snow to much of the West. A winter weather advisory is in effect for California's Sierra Nevada mountains, where up to a foot of snow is expected. More snow and rain in the Rockies. Despite that, it'll be mild and in the high plains, with the Denver reaching 74 degrees. Parts of the Midwest will be at least 15 degrees above normal. Near normal temperatures for the Northeast, Miami and Phoenix in the 80s, 49 in New York.
Coming up right here, the famous brothers behind the sale of one of America's best-known magazines.
But first, the evacuation's now being ordered with a volcano ready to blow. See how tourists are planning to get out.
And the nationwide spa franchise facing nearly 200 sexual assault allegations. We're back with breaking news and a dangerous scene on the island of Bali. 100,000 people living near that volcano have been urged to evacuate after authorities raised their eruption alert to the highest level possible. The volcano spewing ash more than 2 miles into the air, shutting down the main airport, stranding thousands of tourists, many of them Americans, who are now waiting for ferries. Now, Bali's main resorts are about 40 miles from the volcano and not in danger.
A Texas man is charged with attempted murder, accused of shooting at 2 people in the car in the middle of the Florida Turnpike. Kwanzaa Jermaine Donald told police someone had been shooting at him during his trip from Texas, and he thought he recognized the car. He reportedly said he was sleep deprived at the time. Despite 12 bullet holes in that car, the man and his niece, who were inside, suffered only minor injuries. And police opened fire inside a shopping mall in Arlington, Texas, saying a suspected shoplifter pulled out what appeared to be a gun. Shoppers fled the mall, and the whole building was evacuated. The gun turned out to be a fake. The man is reportedly in critical condition.
2 publishing giants are preparing to merge. Meredith Corporation has announced it's buying Time Incorporated for nearly $2 billion. The investment arm of the Koch brothers' industrial empire is financing nearly 1/3 of the purchase. Meredith hopes to save up to $500 million in cost in the first 2 years. And there's a new winner at the movies. The animated film Coco posted one of the best Thanksgiving openings ever.
It's you. You're gonna get me in trouble, Daddy. Someone could hear me. I wish someone wanted to hear me. Other than you.
Well, Coco earned more than $71 million over the holiday weekend, the 3rd best Thanksgiving movie opening on record, about $11 million more than Justice League made this weekend. It is a Pixar and Disney movie.
Former President George H.W. Bush has reached a new milestone. He has just become the longest living former president in U.S. history. At 93 years and 168 days old, he has now surpassed former President Gerald Ford in longevity. Jimmy Carter isn't far behind, though. Like President Bush, Carter was also born in 1924, but he's 4 months younger than Mr. Bush.
All right. When we come back, the new warning about mouthwash and the health risk it could pose.
Have you been using too much of it?
I just used a little bit too much.
Also coming up, the bright lights in the sky seen by millions of people. What is it?
Yeah, and the new video of a truck slamming into a gym as people were there working out. What we're learning about the driver.
Check out the scene in the skies over England and Wales over the weekend. Huge fireballs seen as far south as northern France. Some viewers even said they heard a whooshing sound along with rumbles and booms. It's not known if any of those meteors survived their plummet to Earth.
The largest chain of spa franchises in the United States is now at the center of a stunning sexual assault case. BuzzFeed, the website, reporting nearly 200 women have reported sexual assaults at Massage Envy locations. Only a fraction of those claims have resulted in convictions. One woman said she was traumatized after being assaulted by a therapist, and she's now suing.
And I said, please go down the hall, knock on that door, get that woman away from him. She said, I can't do that.
Well, the company says it's not liable for sexual assaults that take place at spas because the individual locations are owned by franchises. And in many states, massage facilities have no legal obligation to report sexual assault claims.
In health news, a new study warns that using mouthwash twice a day could increase your risk for diabetes. Researchers say the mouthwash kills beneficial bacteria in the mouth, which produces a chemical that helps regulate insulin levels in the body. The study found people who used mouthwash at least twice a day were 55% more likely to develop diabetes than those who used it less frequently.
Okay, so that'll be my excuse for bad breath tomorrow morning. All right, tobacco commercials are returning to network TV. The major cigarette makers were ordered to run the ads 11 years ago to admit they intentionally lied about the dangers of smoking. But 11 years of appeals and legal maneuvering delayed the release of ads until now.
More people die every year from smoking than from murder, AIDS, suicide, drugs, car crashes, and alcohol combined.
The American Cancer Society calls this a significant moment. The tobacco companies are also running full-page newspaper ads in major cities. Now, frightening moments at a gym near Fresno. You see it there, a truck losing control, crashing through a wall, coming to a stop inside the Real Fitness gym in California there as people were working out. The driver reportedly had a medical condition. Amazingly, he suffered only minor injuries. Wow. No one else was hurt, but if they needed help getting the car out of there, I'm sure there are a few folks who were lifting and could just kind of...
I picked things up, I put them
exactly.
down.
All right, take a look at sports. Sunday Night Football came down to the final play.
Time to check the polls, starting with the world waking up with a new Miss Universe.
Yes, so this year's competition had the most contestants ever, 92 women from around the world. Most entertainment part, though, was the race for best national costume. Really over-the-top ones.
Yes, but in the end, the tiara went to Miss South Africa. The 22-year-old will be given a one-year salary, a luxury apartment in New York, a personal wardrobe, invitations to just about every gala and major event, and Steve Harvey
didn't mess it up.
Didn't mess it up.
Didn't mess it up. A trailblazer in the meantime at the Miss Minnesota competition event.
Michaela Holmgren is now the first woman with Down syndrome to compete in a Miss USA state pageant.
She says being on the stage is her passion.
It's really fun, and I'm doing more pageants, and I'm proud of myself. My parents are right crying. This is my dream.
Now, Holmgren didn't win the pageant, but she did take home the Spirit of Miss USA award. Pretty cool.
Inspiring others.
And it's clear that NFL players are pretty happy with the league's decision to ease the rules on celebrating after touchdowns. Take, for example, Ginn is vowing to win back the public's trust as he heads back to Capitol Hill today amid allegations of groping women. Meanwhile, Congressman John Conyers has stepped aside as the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee as he faces harassment claims.
The federal official appointed by her former boss to lead the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is suing to block President Trump from putting Budget Director Mick Mulvaney in that slot. Democrats say Mulvaney actually wants to destroy the agency.
Pope Francis is now the first pope to visit Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. Many are waiting to see if he'll speak out on behalf of the persecuted Muslim group in that country.
Looking at today's weather back here in this country, expect rain and snow in the west. The weather in the Midwest will be warmer than usual, 54 in Chicago. The Northeast will see typical late November weather. And finally, a 12-year-old's tough road to recovery that led him to take center stage at Carnegie Hall.
The piano prodigy survived his battle with cancer. Tom Yamas has more.
A 12-year-old made his Carnegie Hall debut. That's Daniel Colliner from Akron, Ohio, leading the audience through Chopin's Fantasy Impromptu. But to make it here, Daniel had to do more than practice. He had to fight for his life. Playing piano, part of his treatment to beat cancer.
Who would have thought that just an exercise in just helping him develop normally after just being brought to the brink of death as an infant would amount to this.
As an infant, Daniel was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma, which affects the nervous system. At one point, his family says he was only given a 25% chance to live. To keep his brain developing, his family says doctors encouraged playing music. And once Daniel started, he couldn't stop, mastering the piano and even the organ when his feet could barely touch the pedals. All that practice and the early years of chemotherapy made this moment even more incredible. Backstage, his parents in tears.
It's just a miracle he's here today. That's it. Not here at Carnegie Hall. I mean, just here with us.
Even Daniel, who practices 4 hours every day, couldn't believe it.
I think it went amazing. I never imagined getting here.
You just thank God for every moment of every day. Truly, he has taught us that everyone's life is a gift. Every life is a gift.
Tom Yamas, ABC News, New York.
And he's also playing at St. Patrick's Cathedral.